Hey, Sage jumping in with a couple announcements. First, my film Fairyland is finally in theaters thanks to Lionsgate, and you can go hear my words coming out of a big speaker in a theater near you, if you're lucky enough to live in one of the cities linked to in the show notes. Fairyland is a coming-of-age story set during the AIDS crisis in 70s and 80s San Francisco, and it's really on my Mount Rushmore of stories I've gotten to be a part of telling. Scoot McNairy, one of my favorite actors, truly gives a career-best performance, and getting to be in the room and watch him, Amelia Jones, and Gina Davis bounce off each other is just a real treat. Okay, second, we are coming up on 100 main episodes and have something really special planned at the end of the year. So if you have any notes, constructive criticisms, or even out-of-pocket complaints, now's a really good time to write them in to stillgoodpod@gmail.com. Or, of course, you can always send us a DM or leave a comment on @stillgoodpod on Instagram. We're also on YouTube, by the way, and hope to do more with video coming up. It's extremely useful to know what works for you, what doesn't, and what you might want to hear from us going forward as we reassess what we're going to do in the future in 2026 and beyond. In the meantime, go ahead and subscribe and share us around to anyone you think might like our shtick. We'd really like to expand and build this podcast beyond its current station. All right, I guess I'll let Gavin talk now.
Hey, everybody.
Maybe you can hum the theme song, won't hold it against you if you get parts wrong. While the memory's not too strong, there's a piece of you from a time long gone. So while these fuzzy warm feelings remain, question we ask is still the same. Is it a treasure or just plain lame? Is this still good?
Hello, and welcome back to Is This Still Good, a podcast about removing nostalgia goggles and dusting off childhood treasures and hoping no ghosts come out. Ooh. Gavin, do you like spooky season?
Love spooky season. It's the best
Then
time
why
of
are
the
we
year.
watching Idle Hands?
You mean Idle Hands, 1999, directed by Rodman Fletcher and starring Devon Sawa?
I knew the first half
That
of the
Idle
words you
Hands?
said in that sentence, and then you said a bunch of gobbledygook. But yes, that
That's
Idle
fair.
Hands.
This movie's a bunch of gobbledygook, and I love it. And I think it perfectly encapsulates the spooky season, and I have no idea why you would make any sort of assertion to the opposite.
I am trying to start some drama, Gavin, because that's what all of our fan mails say, is that we need more drama. And we need more guests. How many guests do we have today, Gavin?
I can count on one hand, so less than
One
5.
idle hand.
That's one. That's Sean.
God, what's happening to your head, Gavin?
We've also got Benji coming in. Welcome, Sean Lynch. And Benji.
Well, I'm using my hand right now to scratch my balls real quick. Sorry.
Oh, God.
Great intro,
I'm
guys.
so glad this is a web camera. Why are you angling it down?
That's right. That's 2 guests, which means 4 of them canceled, which is reasonable. We were trying
So
to
how
have
many
a
hands
full-on
does that
Millie.
make? That makes how many hands?
8 hands. Well, like possessed hands are real hands.
Well, it's up for debate here, My hand never killed my parents. So.
No, but you
That I
did
know
carve
of.
those pumpkins and put them in the
I
window.
did. My last name is Carver, so I have to live up to my last name.
I was
So.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we have an all-star episode today of returning guests, and it's going to go great, and it's not going to be messy at all. Benji's been here a few times. Sean's been here a few times. In fact, Benji, this is not even the first movie from 1999 that we've done on this podcast.
No, in April of 1999, because Go came out the same fucking month.
It was
Wow.
a packed year, guys.
What
Yes.
happened?
1999, often
Yeah.
considered the best year for movies, and
Because
yet no
of-
one's ever mentioned Idle Hands to me before in my life.
Yeah.
Mostly because of Idle Hands. That's right.
Well, how much do you like The Offspring, Sage?
That's a question you're going to have to ask me 20 years ago.
I know.
I fucking love The Offspring.
Great.
I
Well, then
played
you should
so
like
much
this
Crazy
movie.
Taxi.
You should like this movie, then.
You
I'm
think
just
that's
gonna
all
say.
it should take because The Offspring's in it? I don't get to have my own creative thoughts about the quality of this movie because I'm so blinded by.
I don't know why Sage
The
is
Offspring?
already so defensive. And Benji, we don't need to be attacking him just yet. We haven't even introduced this movie.
Well,
I really
feel
thought
like-
this would be a love fest.
I feel like I'm in the
This
middle
perfect
ground
movie.
on this movie because I can see why people don't like it and I can see why people do love it. So
Wow.
All right, so
Benji
Idle Hands, is it
both-
still good? Is it better as a memory?
Benji, both sides Carver. Yeah.
Yes. Oh yeah. Two-faced Carver here. Yeah. Well, I was gonna get into the Columbine stuff too because it was April of '99 as well.
Sage's mind is blown. Maybe
No,
we...
I just thought about leaving right there.
If we haven't lost all the listeners already, let's
Yeah.
bring up Columbine to make sure those last few are still listening.
Well, but this
check
is
out.
very specific to this movie. This movie is about, I remember Roger Ebert screaming at the top of his head when this came out, man, why was this movie not delayed? Because Columbine just happened. So
Drop the clip.
I'm just
I'd like to
saying.
introduce hot take number 1 right now.
I'm saying April '99, hot take.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what do you think was going through Ebert's mind connecting this to Columbine other than there's children and death?
I think everyone was traumatized by this at the time. He also had a real hot take on Zoolander when 9/11 happened, also. But that's, Roger Ebert has many great hot takes.
I don't think anyone attacked a
especially-
school for ants.
It's not, like I said, the Zoolander one's a little more muddled. It's something about the Prime Minister of Malaysia being assassinated. He was very
Micronesia, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So, but this
one of
one,
those two.
and Sean, if you know any of this, chime me in here. Maybe be a Siskel, be like, hey, now. Yeah. So he just was really offended by that there was graphic violence and kids killing, their parents or teenage friends, and was very upset that this was played. But this is also the guy who shamed everyone who made Silent Night, Deadly Night the Killer Christmas movie as well. So.
I mean, if you want to zoom out even a little bit further, I think that this was kind of the end of the big kind of post-Scream wave where Scream was such a huge hit. You really can't overstate how much in the wake of that success, if you had a slick horror movie with some fresh-faced leads that you could put in a Mount Rushmore formation on a one sheet, a lot of really subversive stuff came in. It wasn't just the Scream clones and the revivals of things like Bride of Chucky or Halloween H2O. It was also things like this and Cherry Falls and really out there ultra violent stuff that was not afraid to be this almost teeters on the edge of being a John Waters movie. It's kind of amazing that it got greenlit and at this time. And I feel like it was because of that post-Scream kind of gold rush where it's yes, let's make a teen-oriented R-rated horror movie. And I feel like Columbine did kind of kill that. Either Columbine or Scary Movie, which kind of was the snake eating the end of its tail sort of thing.
Again, those are the two sides of the same coin, is the Columbine shooting and the Scary Movie franchise.
Equally
both destroyed
disastrous
the
for our
90s.
culture.
Shut the door.
I'd like to
much
brainstorm what else can we blame on either Scary Movie or Columbine?
9/11.
Well, 9/11's right in the corner. It's just right around the corner here, folks. So
I have always blamed 9/11 on Scary Movie.
Before we get too deep in conspiracy theories and jet fuel and steel beams and all of this, I think we should really quickly just try and summarize this movie.
Oh, we're already
I
there.
think we
I would
did.
like to
I
know.
think
It
we
sounds
did.
like everyone else saw this movie and was aware of it. I'd like to know where it plays into your experience and your personal growth. Gavin, that's the order that we do things, Gavin.
I'm sorry, backing this up. I mean, this movie's lived on my DVD shelf for as long as I can remember, which was especially upsetting because I could not find it. I think it's in the Bay Area somewhere, and I could not find it, and I had to watch it on fucking Tubi with ads, and there are so many ads. There are so
I might have
many
to add. I
ads.
think, did you do Pluto and not Tubi? Because I had to watch
Or
it on
Pluto,
Pluto
you're
as
right.
well. Pluto, which
Apologies,
has
Pluto.
too many goddamn ads.
Way too many ads.
Yeah.
I hope that someone made their money on this movie off of us watching it today because they deserve it. But man, that was frustrating. But yeah, this movie's, I think it probably helped shape my love of horror and comedy. And I wonder where this fell into the Evil Dead. There's the 80s movies that came before it that were much grosser and weirder and even more slapstick and dumb, which is pretty surprising to say about this movie in particular. But this movie also is way gorier than it, arguably needs to be, but that's kind of what brings the magic into it. And I think that was just foundational for my love of horror comedies. And I'm so, again, frustrated whenever I read comments about, I'm so glad that this movie was listed under comedy, at least on Pluto. So you can't get a bunch of horror people going this movie wasn't scary.
I could
doesn't
see
need to
that
be.
being a complaint from horror fans. In fact,
It's
Well,
such
we
a
wouldn't call those
frustrating
horror
complaint.
fans, people who say that.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, Sean, take that stance. That is, we'll back that up with a podcast. At us at Sage Builderback on Instagram or whatever.
you know that's not my handle.
That's why I felt safe. doing it.
Sagebuilderback at pluto.com.
Pluto.tv.
.tv.org.
But yeah, this movie's just foundational for me. How about you guys?
Go Benji.
Go, Benji.
Pretty much what I said in the
Go.
beginning. This is a movie that, yeah, definitely. This is about a year away from Final Destination, which came out, which is kind of the peak Sawa era. Well, also he's had a little comeback lately in a lot of.
Would it be the Renaissance?
Delete
I mean,
that
it depends on how much you watch Little Giants as a kid too.
He was
And
in
Wild
Little
America.
Giants.
Yeah, he's the
He was a
quarterback.
little giant.
Oh,
So, yeah.
it's so funny because I think of him as
Yeah.
being in Casper. As
Yeah.
his early
Yeah, and
career.
Casper.
I always forget
Yeah.
about Little Giants.
So it's just like you said, depends on where your Sawa meter goes, because I think, and Sean, you might chime in on that, is I think he's done a lot of great independent work too now in the last
Oh,
several years in
definitely.
horror. But he definitely and then dipped out after the first Final Destination. I heard a brick hit him in the head. And
As the opening of Final Destination 2 would have you believe.
A Hollywood metaphor, or
I don't know. He seemed to be someone who I think was just sort of like, yeah, wanted to do other things with their life, did their money, and probably didn't have their parents like steal it all from them. And speaking of parents, Fred Willard in this movie, give
my
the
dad.
man a hand. Give that man a hand. A man that got in trouble with his hand at the Tiki Drive-In adult theater, still open on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Must we bring this up? The man's dead.
But he even enjoyed talking about it. He didn't seem to be
Okay.
very embarrassed by it. I remember him
that
on
was a
Leno
man
or
who did not have idle hands,
well, just one idle hand.
or he did. I don't know. Fix the joke for me.
Depends on how big his dick was. Let's move on, please.
Yeah, the poster was like there in the lobby, and I remember my mom yelling like, "Why are you showing this?" This like and just kind of berating the movie theater employees for putting up a movie, and
That's
so
their
I was not allowed to
job.
watch it. Well, because I think there was a pendant or something like that in the hand.
Hell yeah, there
So,
was.
there's a great
okay.
poster of it.
And
the
Columbine.
first- Well, Columbine, it's interesting enough, I don't think was happening just yet. We're in that weird sort of like early March, April time frame. But I was
Oh, when the
told not to
poster's
watch
up,
it.
you mean? Yeah.
The poster was up. And then I think sneaking this from a Holly video like a year later and watching it and loving the hell out of it. Falling in love with Jessica Alba, who had also just started on Dark Angel. And then also Seth Green and Eldon Henson, who I think kind of steal the movie in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Sean, what was your experience with Idle Hands?
You know, I wish I could say that I came to this when it was new because I was kind of all in on that Scream wave. And I remember seeing the trailers for this, but something about the marketing at me at the time was like, oh, I'm not like a big stoner, because I'm
Yeah.
10.
It's
So-
Columbine.
whatever.
I think we
So
were
it's
all
like-
like, yeah, right before
well,
we
so
knew what
I just
marijuana
genuinely
was.
couldn't make the leap at that age. And what's funny is I would have loved it at that age. I think I think for me personally in the marketing, they went way too heavy on like Seth Green, demon stoner with a beer bottle in his head. It sort of alienated me in a weird way, even though I was watching a lot of stoner comedies. So it wasn't until like around college or maybe a little after college that I caught it. And I was like, oh, this is like exactly my jam because, October especially, like, because I watch horror movies year round, I specifically like to watch horror movies set at Halloween during October. So this became part of the rotation. And I think if I was to encapsulate why I love it so much is, I love that 90s Scream boom, but everything's a little too slick, a little too safe with the exception of that original Scream. And I love 80s horror, but at the same time, like sometimes it's a little too kind of cheap. Sometimes I want a
Little
little
rough around the
production
edges.
value.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
this is kind of like the,
This is your Goldilocks.
it's
your
like
perfect
exactly.
bowl
Thank
of-
you, Gavin. It's the Goldilocks between those because it's like for this era, the gore is really extreme. Gavin, I think we can thank your favorite brothers, Bob and Harvey, for that because when
Wow.
I'm
Bob
just
and Harvey Cohen.
no, because
And I had the hot
famously
takes today.
sorry. Because one of the few good things Harvey Weinstein or Bob Weinstein. I forget. I think it was probably Bob because he was the dimension one.
Tell
One
us
of the
about
few
the good things that the Weinsteins did,
Okay,
Sean.
it's a long list. Here we go.
Has some
One,
points.
and
Support
done.
you,
Sure.
Sean. I support you on this. I know. Where you're
No.
going.
Sorry, poor intro for this.
Yeah, I support you.
When they kept submitting that first scream to the MPAA and got NC-17, cut out more. What they finally said was, "Oh, it's a spoof," which it's not. Like if you watch that original Scream, it's a horror movie that has some comedy in it. But that's how they finally got it through with an R. And so like this is taking that to just the extreme of like we're just gonna take the hand gag from Evil Dead 2, pump it into an entire feature-length movie. It will have way more gore than this era. It will have gratuitous nudity. It will like go way more extreme, but still have like this sense of fun and just like I just find it just to be like a massively entertaining horror comedy. And when I think about the fact that it was so reviled at the time, whereas I feel like critics these days are much more receptive to this kind of stuff, I feel like if this had come out now, it would be, like 90% fresh instead of like 8 or whatever it has now.
I wish I had that faith.
It just came at the wrong time, I feel like. Yeah.
This movie has an 18% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's honestly surprisingly high for this era, because knives were really out for this kind of
critic
movie.
or audience, though, Sage?
Yeah.
Is what?
Is it
That's
critic
critics.
or audience?
That's
That was
critics.
critics. Audience was a 56%.
There we
That's
go.
low.
There we go.
Yes.
It's no rotten.
No, I'm not surprised to have this much of a divide in the movie. I was hoping that you guys, because I didn't really know about this movie. I watched it for the first time last night. And I think I
Wow.
made the right move by getting a little high first as well. I feel like that's what the movie wanted.
That is
But
absolutely
can you help
what
me?
they want. Yeah.
Can you help me figure out what movie I thought this was my whole life? I know Idle Hands as a possessed hands movie. I thought there was a serial killer with evil hands, and there was a hand transplants. I also thought this was a movie from much earlier, maybe even 80s. Is this ringing any bells?
Are you thinking of Body Parts, my friend?
It's
Eric
Body
Red's
Parts.
only directing movie, Body Parts.
Okay.
Um,
There's a movie
Body-
called
That
Body
is the
Parts,
movie
and
you're
it's
thinking of.
kind of what I said.
Starring the Lawnmower Man, Jeff Fahey.
Jeff Fahey. Thank you, Benji.
Yeah, sorry.
Wow, that was a quick sleuth corner.
It's either that or Little Giants.
Yeah. I'm surprised that y'all like got excited there. I was like, yeah.
I just like thinking about Jeff Fahey.
This a much better movie than Body Parts, I think. Not a controversial take.
Okay.
Oh.
I guess that's what I mean. I haven't
Check
seen
the Rotten
that movie,
Tomatoes.
but I've been aware of this. And then, of course, there's a pivotal episode of Angel where the bad guy gets demon hands from a serial killer after Angel's already cut off the hands, and he goes around and goes demon hands a few times.
But was the hand played by Thing from the Addams Family, as in this movie?
Whoa.
So there's a professional disembodied hand
Correct.
just existing in the world out there, a literal hand model.
Well,
Yes.
Yeah. You did set that up because I did just get my my hand.
Christopher Hart.
My idle hand.
Okay, you have an idle hand tattoo.
I-
Okay.
Well, it's the thing.
That
It's
good.
Thing. Yeah. It could be also said as that.
If you just put an 18% right next to it,
Yeah.
so that we all know what movie it's from. But that's
Hey.
their reviews. We'll get to our reviews later. But Gavin, I think it's probably time that we let people know what this movie's about.
This movie, Idle Hands,
Yeah.
1999.
1999's Robin Fletcher's Idle Hand starring Devin Sawa.
Yeah. Are you trying to pass the mic? Am I gonna do the summary for this movie? Is there any other bold soul who'd like to give it a shot?
If you want it, I can give it to you.
I kind of want to
So-
hear you try.
Let's hear Benji, both sides, Columbine, Carver.
Yeah.
Describe Idle Hands.
I have the manuscript.
Both sides and Columbine are two different nicknames. We're not saying that there were good people on both sides of Columbine.
Christ.
That's like me playing the video game Columbine the Master and watching Elephant at the same time. But
Let's pivot
that's-
for an hour and talk about what you just said.
I don't want to ask any more questions. There's no follow-up questions to that at all. Please move
I
on.
understand that reference.
I feel we've gotten this tone right, but let me give it a shot. So there's a young man named Anton who is a fuck up. an absolute royalty, stoned out fuck up, who lives at home with his parents in what I realized this time, in the attic of his house, with his very lovely parents, paid by, I can't remember the mom's name, but Fred Willard as the father, which we see them in the very beginning as a very nice couple, talking about how much they love Halloween. Cut to a very, actually, probably the scariest moment in the movie of when they turn off the lights in black light. It says, "I'm under your bed," on top of their ceiling. And quickly, a whole sequence of them investigating the house, where one by one they're killed off by a mysterious person. We don't know what. And actually, quite, as you guys have said, violently. And then poor Anton wakes up, and it's been days. There's no food in the house. Dog hasn't been fed. He's just totally at loss because he's been watching TV and getting high all the time. So,
would you
he goes
describe
to
him
his-
as a man with ambition?
I think that's the whole arc he's in. He will have ambition by the end. His two best friends, or really his drug dealer friend, which, as we've all learned, would you be friends with your drug dealer? Very questionable. But
Drug
goes
dealers,
to another
are they
house.
people?
Are they
Are they
people? I
friends?
mean, James Franco and Pineapple Express, of course, at the time. But
One example.
I love that character. He goes to their house. They trick him into actually also smoking oregano nutmeg, which he thinks makes him delusional. And that's how he actually, his hand has become possessed. At the same time, his dream girl drives by the house in the window very longingly, and it's Jessica Alba on a scooter, looking ever so lovely. And her music book falls off her backpack. And he finally sees his window to say hello to the girl of his dreams. And so all this congeals to where he reveals, after a night of smoking oregano nutmeg and weed, he thinks his hand is possessed. And
Well, that's
then
how
he's
you
been
get
murdering.
idle hands.
Yeah. But then there's also another thing about another neighbor who's this redneck with the truck, as well as Vivica A. Fox is someone who's been running around the country trying to stop this idle hand from killing more people. And so it all leads to a great climax. Also, by the way, his friends are murdered by his hand.
That feels important. I was going to let you skip 40 minutes of the movie, but...
Well, that's like a moment of that, and then they hang out. But it's like the chamber piece. It becomes a chamber piece here, because they literally hang out in Anton's house for most of this movie until the dance. And occasionally a very nice night of making out with Jessica Alba with his hand taking the initiative, which is questionable today. Climax with the Offspring playing music all night in their gym, and Vivica A. Fox trying to murder Anton on his hand. Eventually, hand and boy get separated, but all reunite in that climax. I don't know. That's where I got. Because I had to skip.
It's not an
But
easy
also-
movie to summarize. Yeah.
It's a movie about a lazy man whose hand gets possessed and he destroys a lot of people until he gets ambitious enough to not have evil hand. And also, Vivica Fox is there.
Vivica Fox might
movie.
be from the Tarantino verse, because how she's introduced is literally like she's from the Sisterhood.
I love
What's
that
Up in Battle.
character.
Yes.
Vivica A. Fox's character and all the lore.
Yeah, she's fun.
The question is, where does this take place exactly? Because it never does the pinpoint of, is it in the center of the pentagram or what?
That's so funny.
That's
Because on
not
this
my
watch,
only
I
question.
froze on the map too, and I think it's Central California. I think it's the edge of the pentagram, because she name drops that, I guess, fictional California town. I mean, this is clearly like Southern California.
Yes.
But it seems to be like kind of outside Modesto, which is kind of a good fit for these characters.
Sure.
But
Modesto
yeah,
Chamber,
you know,
please.
I will. That was a great summary. But one character who I always forget about, but always ends up being my favorite character, is Randy with his Ford.
Yeah.
He is such a great character.
Baby boy from Event Horizon.
Yeah, pulling people into the stairs, and yeah. That character is really funny, and I always just kind of forget that he's in the movie.
Yeah.
Shout
So,
out the devil just on loop in
Yep.
his cassette player. It's the
Yeah.
only cassette he has. It's the only song he has playing. Every time the truck's moving, it's playing Shout at the Devil.
But I did skip Seth Green and Elden Henson's performance. I know that. That's a whole conversation on its own.
We also kind of, I like the setup that he's so stoned that he's like, the news that they are all watching, that there's a killer loose in their small town. And he's just like, I don't watch the news. I watch MTV.
Yeah.
I just watch Rob Zombie music videos on loop. Can't be bothered.
And 2 Live Crew.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the obliviousness is kind of key because in the lore, the hand spirit kind of switches over to whoever the laziest person, I guess, in the community is, who won't notice that he's a serial killer.
What was when we first meet Vivica Fox? She's dressed as a nun in a prison, and one of the prisoners has a shriveled hand, and she goes, "Ah, I'm too late." Where does that fit into the lore? Like, has the hand jumped from? Can the spirit jump from hands to hands?
You
I
call
think it's
this
a
movie
masturbation.
simple, but you seem kind of baffled by it. Seems.
I just think it's like masturbation. Eventually, just wears out.
Yeah, he's used
And
up.
just jumps to another.
Yeah, I think
It's
you
a
need
hollow
to win
shell
on,
of a-
that was the previous keeper of the spirit, and it's moved on to Anton.
It could be Ash's hand from Evil Dead. Just gonna throw that out
Okay.
there.
I
Might
think
have
it will,
jumped.
Because
And
it could
as
be in
long
the
as-
same universe.
We're clarifying the rules of this world, so you could just choose
Sure.
to not die.
Well, no.
Yeah.
So
That's
the
two
hand
things.
pulls an innocent soul through to hell, not the person whose hand is being
Oh, so
possessed.
if you are no,
No.
I'm talking about like Seth Green and Eldon Hansen get murdered, and then they're just back, and they're like, "Yeah, we just decided to come back," and he
Well,
himself
Oh,
says
presume-
this at the end of
anyone
the film.
that didn't have anything to do with the hand. That's just
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd
That's
say
just
so. There's
regular.
an additional thing.
Well, they
Yeah, but
were
that's
too
real.
lazy to go to heaven because it was too
Yeah, yeah.
far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then everyone else presumably went to heaven or hell.
But
Right.
he's also wearing like
Yeah.
hockey gear.
So are these-
There's
Are these the first people in the Idle Hands universe who are just like, nah, we'll just come back and smoke weed and chill and have fun headless gags?
I mean, it's
Yeah.
the first ones that we get to see. Yeah.
Yeah, of the characters that we know, yes, are the only people who elected to not go to heaven because it was too far.
Okay. So
In the
that
words
is one
of-
of the
yeah.
things I do
Fuck that.
really like about this movie is I don't love these characters per se. I do love that I think that it's all going to be in his head. Like, we've done that before where, like, a serial killer then sees the ghost of the people that he's seen. And then the cops show
Yeah.
up and they're just like, fuck, these guys are moving. They're not dead. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so
Yeah.
they're actually just existing this way in the movie. And that's a whole separate movie that we've crammed into this ghost head
that sounds
movie.
very much like the Ed Gein show that's on Netflix right now. Of him in a house full of corpses and his mother screaming from the rafters.
So I haven't seen that yet, but I kind of just assumed that was what was going to happen, given that's what Psycho is.
Not to like, it did surprise me after the first episode where it goes,
Okay.
and that cut me
Future?
going for
It's
that.
in the future?
It does, but watch
Ed
it. I
Gein in
think it does an
space.
interesting job.
Deep in space.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, a
Ed
time
Gein
traveler
X.
goes back to kill Ed Gein, and Ed Gein
Yeah.
kills him, and then he has a time machine. That's my that's my reboot for Idle Hands when we get there.
but he is kind of an
That's
Ed
my
Gein kind of guy. If you think about it, Anton's like a stoner version of Ed Gein.
Oh,
if you
yeah.
think about it. Yeah.
What?
Think about it. Just think about it. Parents are dead. He's the town loser. Things like that. I think there's something there. But
Idle Hands, the Ed Gein story.
his mother would say they are of the devil's play.
I think we're kind of brushing past
Yeah.
how Seth Green and Hansen, Eldon Hansen, is that the
Eldon
actor's
Hansen.
name?
Yeah.
From Daredevil.
Because that was a huge part of the marketing of this movie was the beer bottle in the head, which
Mhm.
Which is
amazing
great.
prosthetic
Yeah.
effects
Yeah.
with the beer still sloshing around in the, and then just the other guy holding his head the entire time. That was a huge part of the marketing. I was
Yeah.
just looking up to see who won
sense.
the Oscar for makeup that year. It was Topsy Turvy. You've never seen that. Idle Hands should have won.
Absolutely.
Amazing. I mean, some of the CG is a little dicey here and there, but the CG that you don't see of removing Christopher Hart's whole body for all of the handwork, like a lot of the things that you just don't think about, I think is handled pretty well for the era. But the prosthetic
Handled
effects are pretty
pretty well.
mind blowing, and I think something that we kind of take for granted.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's something we're in that era that I think the '90s sort of was the last grasp of real prosthetic horror kind of
That's-
thing, and then
In terms of the tone of this movie too, that that scene when he murders his best friends is like my favorite tone hit of this entire film. When together they're slowly piecing together, like one of his parents has spelled out aunt or the hand, unclear which, has written ants in blood.
Ants?
Don't be stupid. Do you have like a crazy ant? the crazy, like perfectly cut out rip of his shirt that's in his mom's hand. Oh my God, the killer was wearing your shirt. The killer was wearing me. And then them walking through him being like, I don't want to kill you. I don't want to hurt you. Then don't. Don't hurt me. And he's just slowly killing his friends, and they're not mad at him. They're not even particularly like, they believe him inherently that he's not trying to kill them. They're just like very accepting of a lot of the things happening. The only minor kerfuffle they have as friends relates to basically the same thing of like, I thought you were holding, and he's like, oh no, I forgot I had weed. Let him fucking go figure out and smoke oregano. Is kind of the same energy that he hits him with a shovel and is like, hey man, sorry about that. Like, my bad. You did kill me, but we're like even. I hit you with a shovel. It's cool.
Well, that leads to man and boy in hand being separated too. So he of the lefty's the keeper.
Yeah, I mean, kind of perfect escalation, much like Evil Dead 2. I mean, this movie owes a lot to Evil Dead 2, obviously. But it's so smart at that point in the movie when the possessed hand thing is getting a little stale after the knitting sequence where he kills the cops.
Which is great.
It's just on the verge of like, okay, is this going to be the entire movie when he chops off the hand and it just becomes a totally disembodied hand?
I'll be honest, this is where I actually get into the movie a little bit.
All right, fair enough. It
stops being a chamber piece.
Yeah, it definitely opens up the world a lot when the hand is more mobile, for sure.
Yeah, it allows it to do some actual more clever stuff. Like the one part of this movie that I thought was actually brilliant was when the hand actually is in a puppet towards the end.
Okay.
And you have the great gag where Davin Siwa is clearly controlling the puppet himself attached to his shirt and like going around. And it just reminded me of the way that we would all like pretend to like do the alien bursting out of the chest in high school.
Sure.
Just with our
I
own
like
hand.
that your favorite part is the studio mandated reshoot of the ending.
The hand and the puppet getting stoned as our finale piece is one of the moments that maybe I don't think is the movie at its peak, but it is pretty goofy.
The idea of putting a disembodied ghost hand in a puppet is objectively good.
I'm very happy with this ending.
This is what
It's just not the peak of the movie at all for me.
Literally,
it's fun.
So you are Seth Green. What? That's it?
That's it? Yeah, I love that. That's it. That's all that happens.
I think her tied to the top of the car and the car going up towards like the painted pentagram is an amazing setup. And I do think that this ending was the right ending. We haven't really introduced it yet, but there is an alternative ending where the hand chases Jessica Alba into a pool at the school and turns the pool into a pit to hell and tries to push her into it. I think it's kind of the gist of it. And there's like this great like effects of like these hands coming out of the wall and holding their characters while they all are forced to watch this happen. And it's a lot of fun. Like I don't think that would have ruined the ending in any way, shape, or form. And it's crazy how much money and time they must have spent on that ending.
So you prefer the theatrical ending, Gavin?
I do. I think that I don't love the weed jokes are kind of weak. I'll admit, like you, I like smoking weed.
I think the weed jokes are pretty weak through this whole movie.
Yeah.
Well, Sage, you forget this is the era where just holding up a bong was a joke.
That is
just
my
the appearance
problem.
of drug paraphernalia was a
They're
joke.
not committing any cinematic crimes that any other weed movie of the time didn't do, where the joke was... Weed jokes are the same as, like, gay jokes during this time, where it's just, like, the idea that someone would do this is the joke itself, and we don't go any deeper than that. It truly was one of the most frustrating things. I was listening to a Seth Rogen interview on a podcast recently where he was talking about kind of like his relationship with putting weed in movies. And when you get to something like, I think it's Knocked Up, is like, yeah, these characters are smoking weed, but they are also other characters. This is just a thing that they do, and holding the bong is not the joke. And then obviously Pineapple Express, he refers to, and I agree, is like maybe the first studio weed comedy that actually like has respect for any of these people. Yes, they just also smoke weed.
Hey, don't you disregard Half Baked around this time, sir.
Take that up with Seth Rogen. But no, I mean, I think that's fair, honestly. Like, Half Baked is making more than one joke.
But that being said, I think that like shrinking this down to kind of work within the movie of like, I think the hand being a smaller demon is more fun than it being able to just like fully open a portal to hell, which feels like it kind of comes out of nowhere. I think keeping this smaller, letting like even the like the demon hunter be a smaller thing is fun. I think that is the right tone and scope for this film.
That's not consistent with the clearly laid out rules of this universe, Gavin.
Yeah. The beginning's like a big old pentagram across California.
Which was that already cliche?
Most of this country probably thinks that way.
Gavin, do you know the reason why they reshot the ending? I sort of assumed that it was like a bad test screening or something, but what I kind of like about the original ending is just that it does end in this like enormous set piece, which is kind of more what you expect, since it's already opened up into this kind of Carrie, prom sort of ending. You expect it to just keep getting bigger and bigger, and it is an interesting decision to shrink it down. Do you know what the reason was?
Yeah, well, I mean, I take the director at his word in that opening when he's talking about it, and that it's just that, like, yes, it sounded like it was a test screen that didn't go quite great, and I think it was mostly just tonally, it felt a little too serious. I think that, if they'd added some more jokes into that version, that also would have worked. I think that they're, like, pretty equivalent to me in terms of value, and I like the setup of the car specifically. Like, it's such a fun homegrown version of like, the demon just needs to paint a pentagram somewhere and force a human being into it is fun. And the fact that they actually like push her all the way up to the point where her nose is slightly folding in.
Yeah, that is a great
It's just
visual.
Like, it's a good time.
Oh, you might be convincing me on this, Gavin. I'm torn on it, but
they're both good. Like I'm not at all
good,
hating on the original ending.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Phantasm has like a whole other movie in deleted scenes, so you can sort of like recut it in your head. So, but I do think that what they landed on would probably work the best.
Yeah, and Phantasm, that's totally different because that's Don Coscarelli like and his friends trying to figure out what the fuck they're making.
For sure.
Not Sony trying to figure out what's fun for teens these days.
I like the ending they went with. Something that it's sometimes maybe the studio and them like they agreed on. Like you actually get the director's cut, which is rare in a studio situation.
I mean, the big thing that's cool about that, like that I'll do shout out to like a studio note, is when they back it up with here's some more money to fix it and like do it how you want to do it. And that's the idea of like being able to part with the amount of money that they spent on that original ending without just seeing that as a what's that word? The idea that they spent that much money and decided it was still worth spending even more money to change course is cool. I respect
it. Reminds me also a lot just the year before the original ending for Blade. I don't know if you guys have covered that on this podcast, but where originally Stephen Dorff was supposed to turn into like a tornado of blood, and it just tested so horribly. They're like, just reshoot this. Dorff is testing well. Just have a sword fight with Dorff and just leave it there. Yeah. And it was the right call, to go small.
The director, Sean, mentioned that you kind of find a movie as it evolves, and I think that what started as more of a horror movie, and the horror does land in a couple of these moments,
especially the opening for sure.
But it does. What is the stronger points? It's the friends. It's this, like the stoner comedy level.
I think. Shout out to like this is a pretty base moment, but the making out in the car with the third hand feeling up the boobs.
Oh, with the boobs.
Yeah, that's like an example of what I mean, where it's really writing that line between like post Scream, which would never go that far, and 80s, which is that crass and like
that's a scene from like Reanimator, basically.
I mean, this movie owes a lot to Reanimator for sure.
Yeah, a lot of Stuart
when I watched this, I was very clear. It's like, well, I understand why Sean got invited.
Talking about finding that tone for this type of movie and this genre that like I do think is a little overlooked in general of horror comedy is it's much more difficult than just making a slasher movie. You don't get like this note to fall on. You really have to find a very specific tone that is like a much more individual thing to me than, you don't get to do the same type of this. You're saying this came in the shadows of Scream, and it did, but like it really has to find its own way.
Yeah. Horror and comedy have so much in common because they're both fishing for an emotional reaction. Like in a way that other genres just aren't. So like, the end of a good scare sequence is like the setup for a punchline to a joke, but at the same time you're also trying to set up jokes. And I think that that's something that this movie does really well. The other thing that I was thinking about was just going along with how much this movie gets away with at a time where the MPA was really, they really weren't cracking down on gore as much as after the movies that came out after Columbine. Like if you look at Scream 3, if you look at Valentine, if you look at Cherry Falls, which I mentioned, like those are the movies that are just getting hacked to pieces. Like there's like very little blood in those kind of post Columbine movies, but I think this was still riding that tide of like, just say it's a spoof, say it's a comedy, and then you can pretty much do anything. And so I think that they really went wild in that department for sure. Like this is one of the few movies that I forget that there's a scalping on screen. Yep. Like there's just so many gore gags in this movie. Yeah, the Offspring. There's so many crazy prosthetic gore gags in this movie that the scalping always just surprises me after like 10 times of seeing this movie, just because there's just like an embarrassment of riches when it comes to the kills.
The pencil sharpening.
The pencil sharpening on the fingers is wonderful. That's great.
And does anyone know who that guy is who plays the principal? He was in everything in the late 90s. Like he was the guy who created Son of the Beach for FX. I can't remember his name. I thought it was Bob Odenkirk for a second. I was like, no, that's not Bob Odenkirk.
That would have been a great
we would know
cameo.
If it was Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
I was hoping that there'd be a Bruce Campbell cameo. I think that would have been the place to put it because he couldn't play the dad.
That's how you make a reshoot happen.
I don't know. He's probably not above it. He's not above it.
No, in 1999.
I think there's something very fun with this movie. Speaking of like their version of elevating like the gore, is this movie still cuts away whenever like the blood is whenever the stunt's gonna get like either too complicated or too brutal. But instead of just cutting away to someone like making a face, it cuts away to someone being covered in blood. And the amount of blood
it cuts away to a cat eating a body part more often than not.
Oh yeah, the eyeball.
That happens quite a bit too. But the amount of blood that is sprayed in this movie is pretty high for this time. And I think that's part of the joy of this is just like, you throw more blood in a cannon, you're going to wind up with a pretty fun movie.
Yeah. We're all just water balloons filled with blood at the end of the day. As this movie would have you believe.
That's one of my favorite
some comments on the tone. I came into this movie knowing nothing, not having really any expectations, but I did think that I was watching a horror movie that would maybe be a little bit funny, mostly because I said, hey, Gavin, we should do a horror movie for Halloween, and this is what we're doing. But I will say that until I realized that ultimately this is a stoner comedy, I thought it was the worst horror movie I'd ever seen in my life. just incompetently done as a horror movie.
Coming from the man who loves My Soul to Take by Wes Craven, Sage.
I think that hits
there we
the
go.
line.
Shots fired. There we go.
But that's a thing where it's bad, but you could enjoy it. It's like, this is bad filmmaking for what you're saying. And I'm not quoting the whole. I'm not saying the whole movie is bad. I'm saying the opening scene with my dad, Fred Willard, is like. If that was the opening scene of an actual horror movie, I would be so mad.
It's out the gate it's pretty goofy. The I'm under the bed gag is not the best gag.
I like that.
I like it too. It's sort of it's in it's in conversation with like urban legend and other things.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Under the
but
bed,
the hand went out and got some blacklight paint and or glow in the dark paint. I'm sorry.
Well, at this point, it still would have been connected to Devon Sawa, so he's just asleep or unconscious writing that.
This is the thing I like to think about in almost any horror movie with like creative deaths like this is what had to happen off camera to set this up. Most famously, like any of the Friday.
Oh no!
No, there. This is a thought experiment. You know when you've got those elaborate kill. Someone walks downstairs in a Friday the 13th movie, opens up the refrigerator. There's a head, and they close it, and Jason's there. Like, all right, so Jason a very, very loud man broke in stealthily, put a head in the freezer, made a sound to wake him up, and then hid. And then there's just so many things that have to happen, and I think that's fucking awesome.
I will take issue with famously stealthy man, Jason. Not
Well-
known to be loud. I think you're thinking of Leatherface, sir.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said loud. I should have said like burly. Just a very famously large man. I
I'm
guess
just
if he's
imagining
able to
having a
like
big
hide under
smoke
beds and
cloud.
do the same gags. Sorry, Benji, you're raising your hand patiently.
There is well, I actually was doing a motion of a smoke cloud of what
okay.
you're talking about, because
I thought
that's
you were
how I think of this movie, is like
dramatically.
logic.
Yeah.
What?
And I'm not.
Oh shit!
I'm not saying I need these things. I'm not saying they take me out of any movie. I think it's a fun addition to think about later.
Sure.
And I also, Final Destination works kind of the same way. If you think about like the entity of death just walking in and being like, ooh, here's the Rube Goldberg thing I'm gonna do. Not even setting things up ahead of time, but looking around and be like, all right, if I manipulate these atoms, that woman can get thrown in a garbage truck.
That was the one thing I really liked about the most recent Final Destination, is the fact that we've got someone calling that out in a very fun way, where she's just like, not today, Death. You knock that shit off. I see that. I see you. I see you, Death.
Death has a sense of humor,
Yeah.
He's Oppenheimer.
as does the hand.
Also
As
important
does,
to
and
note,
is Jason.
Oh yeah,
Final
Jason is very
Destination-
theatrical, posing the bodies and putting his mom's head in a fridge, etc.
I want
Maybe-
deleted scene from the Northman. I want the scene where he actually stacks all those body parts into the form of a horse. 40
Yeah,
minutes
that's a
long,
misunderstood
real time.
comedy too. The humor of the
Yes.
Northman didn't quite hit for me, but I see what they were trying to do.
That's because you've never found incest funny, Gavin. It's the biggest point
you know.
of contention we have
Getting
on
all
this
the hits
podcast.
today. Columbine, 9/11, the Weinstein's incest.
Thank you for making our social clip, Sean. Final Destination. It's probably important to know that that is the only other Devon Sawa song that... Devon Sawa... It's hard to say his name as someone who hasn't been aware of him before this year. I had seen
You can say
Casper
Jojo
growing up, but I didn't...
Siwa. Jojo Siwa.
Yeah.
Jojo
Also,
Siwa.
I've worked with Jojo Siwa, so they get
Jojo
they get
Siwa.
confused. Yeah.
If you can say that.
Yeah, but like now I want to say Siwa. Is it Sawa? Siwa? Anyway, so that's the only one.
That's
I was
John
expecting
Travolta.
a tone closer to that. I really was thinking this
Casper?
as like to Final Destination.
Oh, Final Destination.
Yeah. Which we watched. That was the first time I watched it earlier this year with you, Gavin.
Yeah.
I've seen other Final Destination movies. I'd just never seen the first one because doesn't really
I mean,
matter
this
whatever you watch of it.
this movie looms much larger for me than, and even though it didn't create a franchise, it looms much larger.
Even though it has
for
literally
me
less of
than
a legacy.
Final Destination. Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know if we hit on the head how this came out literally the week after Columbine. Just to go back to that, so
Can't be
was the
overstated.
Matrix.
Yeah.
it did not do well. It did, like, that 19% on Rotten Tomatoes, like, the audience did not show up for this. It became a cult classic, but
I mean, that's how I
Yeah,
sort of came to it,
it's-
was in sort of like it's a very long sort of cult tale, because I don't feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people really saw this in theaters or I mean, I guess people did catch up with it when it was like a new release rental. I just heard about it because it was like on a list of like, you know, cult horror movies, like underseen 90s horror. And I feel like that's, you know, where like I think that's kind of a credit to the movie that it's still talked about, and it's you
Able
can't
to stick
really
around
somewhat.
somewhat.
Find one of those
Yeah.
like, you know, 90s horror listicles without this being included along with Scream.
it almost is better served by that idea of it being a hidden gem. It kind of does usurp the expectations that it would need to hit, because it's a very goofy movie.
Yeah,
But if you're someone like, hey,
yeah.
you missed this was fun. Like, it
and
kinda
intentionally
lowers
slight, you know, like much
Yeah.
like Benji said, it is like when you really break it down, so much of it is in the house.
Yeah.
I think
Or
something that
yeah.
is also here that has a very similar 10 years later movie is Jennifer's Body, which has a lot of similar beats and tone. And sort of when it came out, you know, nothing too tragic was happening other than, you know, we've had, you know, the on-ramp of school shootings and mass shootings in general. But but a succubus demon that, you know, through variation of high school trauma, I mean, it's a different setup altogether. Does end in a pool, I add.
Yeah.
Horror
but just
movies and
now,
finales and pools, you know.
The
It looks cool.
faculty.
It looks cool. Death becomes her.
Let the right one in.
Right. And it's remake.
So
Night
that's
Swim,
right.
I assume.
I
I mean, even Friday the 13th, like Nature's Pool.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But,
That's probably why they
yeah,
changed
there's
it.
your
It's too,
social
too,
club.
too similar.
But I think it is sort of the fun thing about a movie like this, where there is no franchise. It's just literally like it could if it made money, but where would you I think of us value it more though on that end, and I think that's like the Jennifer's Body thing, which is has this major comeback in the last 10 years when most people were like, "What is this, like some snarky Diablo Cody movie?" That
Totally.
It's one I still need
But I
to
think
see,
Karen
to be
Kuz-
honest.
I think Karen Kuzmata is also like just a phenomenal director that I wish would get more work. And
She did
Yeah.
The Invitation, which is one of my absolute favorite. I don't know if you can call it a horror, but like it's just one of my favorite movies, period.
Yeah.
And I think if you make The Invitation, you could just make bullshit the rest of your life and still be considered a great director.
Destroyer, Girlfriend, Girl Fight, yeah, like it's.
Name
she's
more
one of those
movies I
favorites.
haven't seen.
You can also come to Vidiots. I've seen her around there, so
Oh, she's just hanging out.
yeah. So
Just
that's
a real Noah Segan type.
not as
In terms of hanging around
Yeah.
Vidiots.
yeah. Oh, you mean my doppelganger, my successful doppelganger in my life?
Oh, and Benji, that reminds me, before we started
Yeah.
the record, I mean, just piggybacking on the Jennifer's Body thing, one of the things
Yeah.
that you mentioned was, I mean, Jennifer's Body is, I think the big difference is hailed as a very, like, feminist horror. And you were saying that you don't know many women who love idle hands, and maybe
No.
suggesting that if we were to, I guess, get on the sage side of things and say things we don't like about the movie, do you think
sage
of it as
side.
sort of a misogynistic movie in a way? Like, do you
This
think
is-
that might be something that...
I don't think it's misogynistic. I just think it's one of those, like, when it goes to Sage's comment, like the stoner jokes, like, oh, it's the baton, like, oh, like, I don't think it cross references. It's more of like, I mean, we were like, before we discovered weed, this movie came out, Idle Hands. So it's like,
Yeah.
but it definitely is not that level of like, yeah. And then there's only one character, Jessica Alba, who I think does a great job here for what they give her.
I think she's half.
Well,
of it.
yeah.
Vivica Fox, yeah.
Yeah. This is before she also blew up. This is right before Dark Angel and Sin City, etc.
Yeah.
And Vivica Fox is here, but again, I actually kind of want to just watch if you could make an Idle Hands sequel, just make it about Vivica Fox, his character.
Well, and that
And then
feels
eventually-
very,
Yeah.
this references Evil Dead 2 so heavily, but the Evil Dead TV show feels like it's referencing Vivica A. Fox's character similarly, like in that first season.
For sure.
So, hey, fair game all around.
Yeah. But it's not a misogynistic movie in that sense, but it definitely is.
It's not a feminist movie, though, either,
Yeah.
I would argue.
This is
Yeah.
a misogynistic
Yeah.
movie.
I get what you're saying, Benji, in the sense that
Yeah.
it is like very much like a dude movie. I was
Yeah.
thinking
Yeah.
that all the women who I know who have seen it do like it. But that might just be kind of like that might be more of a millennial thing.
It
Though,
could be my
because
memory
there's
of my
a, there's
mom.
a certain nostalgia for this
Yeah.
era.
I think it's
Yeah.
possible to ignore the problems this movie has with this one female character, who is not a
Yeah.
character.
Yeah,
Barely.
so
And
I
is
just
just
think that
very
I think Sage doesn't
excited
like
to
this
be
movie, guys.
molested by a ghost hand.
Oh, that
On
person,
that
too,
end.
yeah.
I
Oh, I guess
that
one character
no-
was literally like mine's in jest, but like no, the whole scene where Devon Sawa like shows up at Jessica Alba, and it's clear that like even though they've lived out to each other, they've never talked to each other, and like every
No, they just
decision
made eyes
Jessica
at each
Alba
other.
makes in this movie is kind of offensive to me.
Yeah,
Eh.
it's boy fantasy. It's not
Yeah.
male
Yeah.
gaze, but it's boy.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, it
So-
is to the point of just like if you are going to treat a female character like this, why even have a female character in the movie?
Less females in movies, sissy. I think that I agree it's not like totally misogynistic, but it is definitely like a dude movie. Like Benji,
Yeah.
I liked how you described it, which is like a real scratching your balls movie.
It is.
Yeah.
That's why I opened up the show with that. I'm scratching
Yeah.
my balls with my hand. It's like it's Al Bundy, childhood kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Joyously
That's
dumb.
Ted Bundy's
Yeah.
son, right?
but this is about Ed Gein, really. So
Married with children in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not want to jump out so quickly. I do have another call I gotta make. So
Well, I think it's
All right.
as good a time as any to move it
Yeah.
along to
as long as we could dick around with Sean for a little bit longer, because I got a lot more to say. But Benji,
I can definitely come back.
I don't know if you're aware, but we have a patented 3-tier rating system on this here Still Good pod. But I just can't remember for the life of me what it is right now, Gavin.
Is it Alien?
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
Predator 2, Predator.
Is it a Freddy?
Yeah, no.
Is it a Jason?
I'm
Is
leading
it a
into
Freddy versus
something that
Jason?
we're supposed to be doing later. So, yeah.
Is this still
Yeah.
good? Is it better as a memory? Or should we shove it in a microwave and turn that sucker up to 11?
I like the microwave idea just in general, but I think it is better as a memory because it brings back so much of that time. Like I
Okay.
said, my Freud memory of my mom screaming about this movie to the movie theater. I love my mom, but my mom also thinks that, that when she watches Sally Jesse Raphael and all those people and like, oh, these kids killed their parents because they were listening to heavy metal music, and then I'll be like, oh, this Tool album.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm like, wait, you bought me that album. And so it is better as a memory in the end because of just the time and place. I do wish more horror movies would be like this. I mean, I love the elevated horror, whatever label you want to put now, but
Yeah.
doing something where, again, Monkey Paw does their variation of not Evil Hand movie, but something literally Monkey's Paw.
Yeah.
But
The monkey.
yeah, I love The Monkey. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I know that's a hot take for a lot of people. I think that to me, like, if you get more of that Mad Magazine insanity in horror, I think it's right for that time, the world we're living in, all that stuff. I think that is just, and that movie, The Monkey, is about 9/11. But that's another story for another time.
All great movies are
Yeah.
about American tragedies.
Yeah. So yeah, wish there was more movies like this. Maybe it's a ripe time to do it. It's also harder to do this kind of movie than it is to do,
Especially at this budget
Yeah.
level, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, which I think they were able to. It's funny because they, how it is. It's making a movie you want to build into your big set piece, and that's what they did. But
Yeah.
then they're like, oh wait,
Yeah.
we found the right rhythm.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Mad Magazine, because one nugget is that this director didn't write for Mad Magazine, but he did go to Harvard and write for the Harvard Lampoon.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I just think that's really
He came by
The old
Harvard.
Harvard to
Gotcha.
Leprechaun 2 pipeline.
Another Hole in the Head had him for Eat Brains Love, his zombie movie. Movie that he made right before the pandemic, actually. And so I mean, I have respect for him. Really, I mean, he probably definitely wanted to make bigger movies for sure, but I think he definitely, with this movie and Leprechaun 2, found his niche.
Well, speaking of another hole in the head, Benji, where can we find you if we want to hear you chit-chat and give your weird takes?
Oh, you can definitely find me at Warp VHS, Warp Dimension TV. We'll have a lot of stuff. I think this episode will be out around the time we're doing Halloween 3, Season of the Witch on VHS.
Hell yeah.
Which we will have, speaking of my costume, I'm one of the 3 trick-or-treaters. As well as, there's a monthly Balboa Theater as well. And yeah, I'm not an X person or a Threads person. Just if you want some hot takes, just slide into my DMs. All right.
Just say his name 3 times on the street, and he'll appear behind you.
And I just got to go to one of Benji's Van Damme shows, which was a great time. Got to see
Good title.
back-to-back Van Damme movies on VHS.
Yeah. Thank you, Sean. Yeah. I think Street Fighter, you saw me how happy I was to be sitting in a room full of people who really appreciate. What I will now say is we have a new Street Fighter coming, but the Van Damme Street Fighter version with Raul Julia.
Still making Street Fighters?
Oh, I'm
Hey.
excited for this one. We got Momoa as Blanca, so I'll be
Spoilers,
I
they
didn't know
might
about
still
this
be
at all.
making idle hands.
We'll get to that in a bit, but thank you as always for stopping by, Benji, and feel free to, after your call,
Hop
we might
back
still be
in,
going,
yeah.
just pop back in and
free
break the
free
podcast.
the hand. Free the hand.
All right,
All
buddy.
right, I'll see you soon, guys. Bye.
Yeah, I can go next. I think this movie's still good. Much like Benji, this does send me back to a time in my life that I really enjoyed watching this movie. And I watch it and I feel like it puts me in the head place of a simpler time. Like, it's just kind of a silly, fun movie. I remember it warts and all pretty well. I haven't seen it in years, but it didn't feel like it dipped at all. It just is a good time, So, still good for me.
Nice and simple. Sean?
Yeah, I'd say it's still good. It's not my favorite movie of this era. Like, I'm a big Scream head. I don't think it really comes close to that film.
No. That's
But nor do I need it to.
fair.
Like, we can have we can have important 90s horror, and we can have silly, fun 90s horror. And I, it's, I can't really say that it's better as a memory because I didn't really see it when it was new. But it is very transportative to that kind of late 90s kind of last gasp of innocence, even though it did come out right as Columbine happened, as we've said. But yeah, if you like stoner comedies, if you like slasher movies, if you like horror comedies, I think that this will be an easy fun time for you.
Sage.
Okay. If I wasn't watching this movie from the podcast, I would have turned it off. I haven't done this in a while. I think talking to you guys, I like this movie less than when I even watched it yesterday.
I think I had the opposite effect talking to you about it. I think I like it more.
I'm glad we're both working on spite here.
I think I'm changing my letterbox to 5 stars.
So
Adding a star.
ultimately, I think there are things I like a lot in this movie, but every single time that it did something clever, it would remind me of a movie that did it better that I like more. Whether it was aping it or whether it's a movie that came afterwards. I don't think it's really enjoyable until the hand gets cut off. And then I think we're off to the races for a little bit, and then I think it pulls back. And I don't know. I'm just when you put this up against other horror comedies, I think it fails as both. I think I don't like the stoner comedies from this era, and I don't think I find much to enjoy. Weirdly, the things that I do enjoy are the things you guys don't like. I like the hand in the puppet. I want to stand up for that. I think put that hand in a puppet.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I just don't think it's the height of the movie.
Okay.
It's still fun.
No, I don't know. What would I put the height of the movie as? I don't know. I don't want to bum everyone out even more, but no, I don't like this movie.
So to the microwave.
I'm Dragging It to Hell. Another movie that this movie reminded me of that's better. Have you guys seen
Drag Me to
Upgrade?
Hell is great. Yeah, of course.
Because that's the
Upgrade's a
thing
good
that
time.
we didn't talk about is this movie's a lot of Devon Sawa heightened acting of his hand being possessed. So
Yeah.
I understand that having your face and your hands do completely separate things, pretending to be two different characters in the same body. I assume that's hard. I don't think it's a thing that I could pull off in an impression. However, I have seen it done much better in ways that didn't annoy me, because I barely like Devon Sawa just acting as one character, and I don't think he pulls off two characters.
Oh, I think that's harsh. I think he's doing a pretty good job in this. I like his hand acting, personally.
I don't think the movie had won me over to enjoying something that goofy, especially before the end of the movie. I think by the end of it, it's just all right, I think I know what this movie's trying to be, and I'm on board, but it took an hour out of 90 minutes to get me there. Which maybe there might be something as simple as rewatching this movie, knowing what it's about, it would move it up to, okay, it's better as a memory.
I think you just need to see more horror movies, Sage, is what I'm kind of picking up on. It sounds like you've seen maybe 10 other horror movies, and if you've seen more, if you get sort of a context.
I've seen a lot of horror.
genre.
Every October I go through and I'll watch 20 or 30 of these movies for the last few years. But granted, that means last year I'm here texting you of finally watching Halloween, finally watching Friday the 13th. I liked one of them.
Well, I think it's important to build that context. Is all I'll say about that. Horror comedy is hard, and I get that it's off-putting for a lot of people. I mean, most I see so many criticisms of my own movies that are it's a horror comedy that's not funny or scary, and it's just kind of I get it. If
Sean,
doesn't
Red
work
Snow's
for you,
way better than Idle Hands.
I get that that's just a bridge that a lot of people just aren't willing to go. And it totally makes sense. There's a lot of subgenres of things that I don't particularly like. It's it's an acquired taste for sure.
Well, I do think a thing that is successful in this is I do kind of want horror comedies to be deconstructing more. I think it's we love horror movies and we decided to make one that's funny, or that is more funny than the horror movies that we are admiring. So at the end, which is the alternate ending, or is the studio mandate, the dagger gets thrown into the hand into Seth Green and it disappears, and Seth Green goes, "That's it." I fucking love that. That's very, that's a thing that you'd see in the Cabin in the Woods style or Tucker and Dale or something else. Like people like being very aware of their own genre. And I don't really feel this movie's aware of its own genre in a way that is enjoyable. I'm sorry I'm so down on this movie. I was really
fine.
excited to like this.
Sage, the thing is that you are referencing movies that in general did come after this, and I do think hit the tone even better. Like, you're referencing greats. Like, it's okay. This feels like a proto great. Yeah.
It's just if they are really building off of their own, like the horror comedies that I like, then it's just a couple Wes Craven films at this point.
Yeah.
Like for what I want. There's a lot of great 80s horror comedy that I'm not putting in the same bucket as what I'm talking about.
No, and this is like, a very
I liked
specific
Reanimator,
moment
Sean.
in time, like we keep talking about. Yeah. No, it's...
And you mentioned that there's a remake that's in the works. I actually have no idea about this.
Evidently, this film is on, we tried to get the rights. I don't know if we succeeded or not.
This is why I'm confused, because the DVD that I checked out from the library had the rights to Idle Hands in it. It was like a golden ticket situation. So, Gavin, we have...
Oh, we do have the rights.
We have the rights,
good.
yeah. And a little bit we'll reboot it, but I do want the context of whatever you're talking about, especially because, like, we're going to have to hire a lawyer.
Yeah. Well, it is my understanding that, have you all seen, is it Stranger Things? Some TV show?
Like, tell us.
Oh, no. I just looked up. Finn Wolfhard and Jason Reitman are remaking it. Oh,
yes.
God.
This is a Ghostbuster.
Oh, fuck.
So, I mean,
Sorry,
I didn't see their first movie. I was curious about it. Did you happen to catch it, Sean? Because they made one horror comedy already. So these two have actually... They made a movie called, I think, is it Endless Summer or something?
It's Hell of a Summer. Yeah.
Hell of a Summer, which I did not see. I remember it being in theaters. I was kind of out of nowhere for me. I think Finn Wolfhard, the way he's cast in general, I hope he starts to get doing something else, because I'm a little tired of seeing the character he keeps being cast as.
Yeah, I don't... nothing against Finn Wolfhard. I might have overreacted. Yeah. Just Ghostbusters Afterlife to me was the worst version of a reboot remake.
Yeah.
To me, is Afterlife the first one, or is that the snow one?
That's the first one.
Okay.
That's the one that's like a funeral dirge of a movie.
Yeah.
So if this is getting the Afterlife treatment, I don't know if I'm going to go see it.
I don't know what the treatment of this movie is, because...
Maybe they'll bring back Fred Willard.
Oh, God.
Oh,
for better or worse, I think mostly for better, the stoner comedy has changed. And I don't think removing the stoner comediness from this movie makes this a worse movie. I think it gives you a little bit more room to do a little bit more with the through line of the tone of, like, a lazy person getting off their butt and having a reason to go do stuff.
Yeah.
And that being that he's murdered his family and best friends and has a crush on a girl.
He literally has to start anew one way or the other.
Yeah, there are stronger concepts, but, like, I think it's a good building block to build off of. So
yeah,
and I didn't see Finn Wolfhard and Billy Brick's last movie. I'm curious about it. I do want to check it out. I'm slightly hopeful. I think that, like, this is a movie that is not that fleshed out in general anyway. So, like, go ahead. Let's see what you guys do with it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I think it could be ripe for reinterpretation. I just worry about that creative team. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I haven't seen Hell of a Summer. I should check that out, because it sounds like it's more their brainchild than Reitman's. If we're to believe that.
Reitman and Gil Keenan are involved as producers, along with the original producers coming back, which, sure, I hope you get paid well. But Sage, you said you got it. It was just in the DVD copy right there.
We have the rights, and it sounds like we got to, like, take this to market pretty fast.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna.
They announced this November last year, so okay.
And we're gonna do a little writers session and figure out this movie and see what we got to it. And bumper, play it.
We're reviving a canceled undercover police program from the 80s.
It's not a remake, it's a reboot.
You see, the guys in charge of this stuff lack creativity.
What the fuck is a reboot?
So all they do now is recycle shit from the past.
We're working on less of a shriekwell and more of a scream-make.
Expect us all not to notice.
I like it. Another!
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, so I'll tee us off here because I've been thinking about this a lot, and this is really what I should have put in our accolades. Anyway, there are more interesting movies within this movie that I want to spend more time with. I think the idea that like some people could just come back from heaven is the part of this movie I don't really like is Devon Siwa acting as two people. One of them's a hand. Like I think the society of demon hand hunters that Vivica Fox represents, that's what I want the movie to be. I want it to be like her chasing after a demonic entity, and then much later in the movie you find out it's just a possessed hand. If you are going to intercut those stories, I want them as an inverse of what you're doing. I want 80% of this movie to be Vivica Fox, and then occasionally you cut to someone else who's trying to figure out what's going on with the murders around them. And then when it's revealed that it is that hand, it's just dumb enough to work.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean I think that the difficulty in remaking something like this is it's like how far can we stretch this joke? And the answer is 90 minutes. And so I feel like
that's a movie.
I feel like a remake would have to kind of pivot a little bit. And I think that the area that you would go is Vivica A. Fox. I guess it could be a legacy sequel, or you could recast, and her and the my guy with the Ford. I forget the character's name, but it would be like a a road movie or a road series where they're going to different towns, hunting down different evil things. It sounds really like I am describing Ash versus Evil Dead, and I guess that's kind of where you would take this is it'd probably be like a streaming series, and you'd kind of let the hand thing lie a little bit.
Yeah, it does sound like you're describing that this movie is a monster of the week, and we go back to this being a kind of road series, kind of in your X-Files kind of structure, where it's like more of an episodic thing. Which sounds
you have
fun.
A different actor with a demon hand each time, and then the demon hand escapes to someone else.
It just gets away.
The right.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be a demon hand. I mean, I think that's the issue. Is it has to kind of be something different each time.
And that's where then you.
I'm just like a true procedural, where it's just a different villain each time, and you have to figure it out. And the demon hand keeps getting smarter.
Demon hand. Jared Padalecki has a demon hand. I could keep going. Matthew Lillard has a demon hand.
I mean, Matthew Lillard as a demon hand would be fun.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. And it's great.
You could age it up as another pivot, What about idle hands at an old folks' home?
Yeah.
Or idle hands, in like a corporate office. If you take it out of the teen movie milieu, you could, get some fresh blood into it.
That is where I jumped with it. It's like, quiet quitting turns into quiet stabbing. You've got someone who's like...
And then you could have it be a metaphor for capitalism.
Yeah, exactly. I think what this needed was more
elevated horror
critiques of capitalism. Yeah, capitalism. I'm going to go with that as my pitch. Is that we need to give this again, you keep it like kind of a little bit smaller. It all takes place in an office building over just like a couple days. He starts showing up, smells something funny in the cubicle next to him, goes and investigates, and water cooler talk is where we find out more. And I'm trying to figure out what the big set piece of.
So you're setting it 10 years ago. Sorry, continue.
I imagine there's still water cooler talk, right? Never worked in an office. I'm only guessing.
Well, we all know work from home's dead. We're moving back. We're return to office is in full effect.
A return to office horror movie. You might have something there, Gavin.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you had been blessed enough to work from home for the last couple of years and you're forced to return from office, don't you think you might black out and have people being murdered by your hands next to you?
Yeah, and you still have space for the microwave to be in the.
Trying to think of the title. Return to Horror.
Oh, that's better. Still bad,
but you get
Still pretty
But
bad.
you
Not
get to
offended.
leave the microwave scene basically intact. Is what's fun about this too. Same
Can
thing.
we get a head
just
in the
like-
water cooler, Gavin?
I mean, I hope so.
Green light.
As long as we do it off screen.
Well, yeah. Otherwise, I got to go into my whole backstory and like create
We need
more.
to put things in here for Sage to be mad about.
Again, wouldn't be mad about that. Like, yes, move on.
But yeah,
I think we cracked
I
it,
think that sounds
guys.
fun.
Balls in your court, Reitman.
Okay.
Well, have we done a podcast?
Yeah. Technically, that's a sode.
Sean, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything you want to tell people to go look up? Places you already
Yeah,
found?
I've got a couple horror movies that are widely available on Tubi. Red Snow and the Ceremony is About to Begin. You could describe both of them as horror comedies that aren't scary or funny. But at
Jesus,
least see them on
okay.
Tubi,
Jesus.
so I can get like 10 cents rather than
That's
nothing if
sweet,
you torrent
sweet
them.
sense.
I'm in post on another movie, but I'll have more news about that probably next time.
Exciting.
Just think, if this was 20 years ago, you could have gotten Idle Hands budgets for your movies.
You're-
About that all
Clearly,
the
they're
time.
just throwing it around. I mean,
Well,
I'm
you can-
gonna take advantage
Honestly,
of
at this
Sean being
point-
here.
At this point,
So-
I'd be happy with Leprechaun 2 sized budget.
Hell yeah.
That was probably 300K or something.
Hell yeah.
Eat brain
No,
love budgets, you know?
I want to take advantage of Sean being here and get some recommendations of things that I might like if, hypothetically, I didn't care for Idle Hands.
It's so funny because one of the ones that Gavin mentioned was Trick or Treat, but I genuinely had the thought, like, I think it would be soul destroying to hear Sage complain about Trick or Treat. I think I would just genuinely be unhappy for the rest of the day. And so I thought, like, this one I don't care about as much. But I would say Trick or Treat.
Don't hedge your bets
is-
against me being a bully.
I would say Trick or Treat is one that I like to revisit this time of year. It's a fun anthology. Let me think. Well, I like to revisit the Halloween franchise. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, like I enjoy things that are set at Halloween. I have a toddler at home. I like to show my son kind of like gateway horror stuff. Like he likes Hocus Pocus, so we have that on.
Oh,
The Halloween Tree, the Ray Bradbury animated one from the 90s. That's a fun one. So, there's a good rotation of Halloween stuff on at the house right now.
Have you done Ernest Scared Stupid yet?
I was thinking that might be a little too scary for a 3-year-old. I remember those trolls being pretty gnarly.
Getting very scared by that when I was young.
I'm wondering too about like Scooby-Doo Zombie Island, if that's too scary. Because that
You
one
like
I remember
Scooby
from
Doo?
being a
We
little
watched
kid.
we watched
Also, Idle Hands is Scooby-Doo Zombie Island.
Yeah.
one that Lindsay grew up with, Scooby Doo and the Reluctant Werewolf. It's like a drag race with Dracula and the Wolfman, and he was into that. So we're weaning him in. I'd say he's still about 3 years away from Idle Hands, but
Fair. I'll recommend if you haven't seen Evil Dead 2. I mean, that's the movie that this film's definitely borrowing the most from. Go watch it. If you have seen it and you haven't seen Drag Me to Hell, which we also mentioned, that I think is probably Sam Raimi's greatest horror movie in my opinion.
Oh wow.
And doesn't get as much love because Evil Dead 2 is just such a monument in the genre. But
Sure.
Drag Me to Hell's great.
Jack
I love it. I didn't know that you liked it more than the Evil Dead movies.
I mean, I love them both. It's
Yeah.
Drag Me to
No
Hell is
knocks
just
to
really
Evil
good
Dead
the whole
2.
way through. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of the ones that we haven't done an episode of just because, like, I've got, like, very little critical to say, and I'm less interested in just gushing about a movie the whole time.
Sure. I mean, the tough thing with that one too is like it came at a point where to be honest, I wasn't sure if Sam Raimi still had it,
Sure.
and it's such a reclamation, or if I had the capacity to enjoy movies the same way. I think honestly, it was just a movie that I watched and I was like, oh fuck, I do love horror comedies still. I do love movies. Magic is still real, everybody. So that was one for me that was just like a reclamation of like, I think I was in a bit of a rut in terms of me even being able to enjoy things, and it knocked me way the fuck out of that. So
Okay.
That's great.
love it.
I'll have to
co-sign
revisit
that for
that. It's
sure.
been a few years since I've seen that.
Sage, you got any recommendations?
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend something that I think does a much better job of an actor being controlled or possessed by something, and that's Upgrade. Upgrade's, it's not a horror. It's a very low budget sci-fi that I truly think is the best example. Like Logan Marshall Green just doesn't understand what's going on with his body in that film in a way that I completely believe and is so much fun. And then I'll throw in another one for The Invitation, which really has nothing except that we also talked about Jennifer's Body and Upgrade, and they have the same lead, Logan Marshall Green, who's basically poor man's Tom Hardy, even though he shouldn't be because he's fucking great. I can also recommend like 8 more Logan Marshall Green things. Quarry's so good.
You're just recommending his IMDb.
Shocker number 2 in Spider-Man Homecoming? No, okay. I've got this memorized. It's Logan Marshall Green. I'm always happy to see him, even in Prometheus.
All right.
Can I go now?
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Sean, as always.
Everybody.
All right, love you guys. Happy Halloween. See ya.
Go watch Trick or Treat.
Love you too.
Probably.
Bye.
That's how that should have ended. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us again on Is This Still Good? You can find us at StillGoodPod on Instagram, or send us a formal complaint to stillgoodpod@gmail.com. We love hearing from you.
Please give us a like or review wherever fine pods are casted. It helps us trick those algorithms.
You can find me across platforms at Hold for Playing.
And I'm at Gavin V. Murray. Join us next time, whenever that may be.
Bye.